Hello, hello, and welcome. We are live here at the Transform Your Relationships live show. I'm Laura Rubenstein here with the amazing Dr. Roberta Shaler. Hi, Roberta.
Hello, Laura. And this is an exciting day. We're going to talk about something that's near and dear to our hearts, and we make sure we make it happen, and we want to encourage other people to do the same.
Absolutely. And we're talking about community and friendship and why it's so important in our lives to have these communities and these friendships friendships that are really supportive because they save our sanity. And I actually believe they transform the world.
I think so too. I don't think that we can ever underestimate the value of having trusted companions. People that we like, people that we know, people that we trust. We talk about that all the time in terms of customers needing to do that. But we have to have people in our life who we know, like, and trust with our lives. That, if we needed to call out and say, I need help, we have a list of people to call, at least two or three.
Yeah. At least. And it's so affirming when you have a community that can give you kind of a reality check on the goodness of you, on the good sides of you. So I like to call them cheerleaders sometimes. And sometimes I'll
Sure.
even call people up and say, you know what, I'm not feeling too great about myself today. And that is code for, and sometimes I'll even tell them if they don't know this already, I need you to cheerlead me a little bit. I need you to tell me how
Yeah.
awesome and wonderful I am because up here, I ain't feeling it.
Right. And I think the other side is that sometimes we need somebody who will talk us off the ledge. We need somebody who doesn't need to hear our whole story because they know it. And we can just say, okay, three things happened this morning. You don't need to hear about every one of them. I just need you to know that I haven't a clue which end is up. Just talk to me.
Yeah. It's really cool because sometimes we need that venting partner, and sometimes we do need to tell the whole story. And I'll
Yes.
let I'll let my friend know, listen, I just need to vent, and then we can move on. But knowing that you're there to just let me say it one or two more times would
Yeah.
be great. And if you have the time for that, I'd really appreciate it. So they know they don't have to fix me. They know they don't have to do anything but listen and say they're there, like you're going to be okay, or
Yeah.
you're right. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. And to actually create those times so they don't come out of the blue. Like, one of the things that you and I share is we have a group of women that we go walking with on a regular basis. And so we know it's coming up. So if there's something that's not pressing, we know we're going to have a couple of hours together where we can bring it up, ask for feedback, vent, do whatever we need to do. But then you also have your women friends that you can call on an odd moment when you really need something. And if you don't cultivate those relationships, then when that moment comes, you feel alone, you feel isolated, you feel lonely. And there's like, am I doing life alone? And you're not in most cases. But you also have to be proactive and have those friendships. Right. And some of them will be long term. I have women friends in Canada that one of them I went to kindergarten with, and yes, our lives have taken very different turns, but if I needed anything, and she's a great cheerleader because she loves my work and she's retired, and so she's there, rah, 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 right? But they know your history. So
right.
there's those kind of friends, and then there's the ones that you've made in the last 5 years, and then there is the possibility of new friends.
Yeah, and I find with new friends, so for anyone listening who are like, well, I'm not sure I have that kind of a community, I find that as I go to an event or a group, I get invited to a group or I find a group online. If I like the group, I'm not yet connected to the group, I'll show up a few times. And, I just allow, I'm not trying to force anything,
Yeah,
a friendship on
yeah.
anybody, but it's allowing. And like you said, proactive, just kind of uh, starting conversations with different women and seeing if there's a resonance there. And if there's a resonance there, great. The next time I come back, having another conversation and another conversation. And then eventually something might evolve like what happened with us with that group of women who said, let's get together and go walking on a frequent basis. So then we're doing something more intimate. And it takes time to cultivate. It's like anybody moving to a new town. It's going to be a similar process. If you want
Yeah.
people local to you that you can hang out with and feel as a trusted community. By the way, the opposite I find is true is if you go to these meetings and there's no one you resonate with or you feel in your body uncomfortable there, pay attention to that, especially with certain people you interact with.
Yeah.
Don't try to force it with them.
No, I think that last bit is really wise, Laura, because sometimes you're just in the wrong vibe. It's not you're not your tribe, right? Like if people don't understand my work, they're maybe they're interested in multi-level marketing or they're focused on something else, and they have no interest in what I do because they just want to know more about selling or sell me something. Um, where it's not a good fit. It's not there's anything wrong with the group. It's not a good fit. And that's not a great place to spend your time or money. Move on, But then don't move on too quickly either if you think that there is potential there because you chose it wisely. Sometimes it takes a while. Like you and I belong to a group that sounded like a really good idea, but for quite a few months. It took a while to kind of scout it out and feel it out and figure it out. And okay, there's this great group of people that I'm really comfortable with. And then there's the middle group I'm not sure about. And then there's, yeah, no, not so much, maybe another year. Right. But you go through that process anywhere that you go if you chose well. Now, when you go to a new town, when I moved to San Diego, I tried every group, which one is my affinity group? Where
Why
am I
not?
connected? Right. And so I spent lots of money and lots of time and quickly found out, within a few months of going back a couple times and seeing what was what, where I had affinity, where there were possibilities, where there was support, where there were opportunities, and there have to be all those things
Yeah.
to want to keep going.
So if you're watching this, you want to contribute, feel free to comment and ask or share. Feel free to provide that. What do you do? What do you do to build your community? And what did you do when you were in a new situation? I'd like to collaborate here, or I like to call it crowdsource. Let's crowdsource here and
Yeah.
and support each other by, contributing ideas. So if there's something you've done, feel free yeah, please feel free to share that here.
Yes,
Anyway,
and also when you shift careers, you may be in the same town, but maybe you have a different focus now. Like I was interacting with the people at Acuity Scheduling this morning, where, I buy my software that does all my calendaring, and the woman and I were going back and forth because there was something that I didn't understand. And underneath her signature file, it said, "I used to be an acupuncturist. How about you?" And I thought,
okay.
well, there's a community building way to get me to respond back and engage with her. And I thought, okay, pertinent to our topic, maybe she belonged to a lot of acupuncture associations, and now she needs online marketing and programming groups to shift to,
Mm.
right? So it's there for you, but you may have to go and find a whole new group of folks.
Yeah, and groups, like you indicated, there may be people you want to connect with for social reasons or activity reasons or exercise. There may be people you want to connect with for business purposes or entrepreneurial purposes, or like you said, multi-level network marketing purposes, so that every part of you can be nurtured, because not everybody in the active communities will be able to understand your business life, and the people in certain parts of your business won't understand other parts. So it's about, like you said, being proactive and finding your homes. But I love having one home, or not one, maybe several, but that feels like the nest. That whether when I walk away from it after a meeting, say, when I walk away from the meeting or a gathering time, that I know that there's these people who have my back.
Yes.
Should I need them in a pinch, there's one of several people that I could pick up the phone and who would be there for me. And just having that knowledge brings me more confidence, makes me feel less lonely in the world, brings a sense of community, and knowing that I would be there for them and they know they can have me as that. Again, it creates a different world, in my opinion.
Yes, and I've lived in San Diego now for 18 years, and I had the experience of needing to be driven to a medical appointment. And when I first started thinking about who could I ask, I thought, do I really know people to that depth that I would ask them for that? And then there's my Canadian upbringing that says, well, you don't ask for that. But then when I really thought about it, and you and I talked about it, and I thought, no, there are several people that I could actually ask. And I asked, and the first thing out of the person's mouth was, of course,
There you go.
right? You know, so sometimes you have to take a risk when you don't think, you've got to shift from that. Well, we do life and business and go out to dinner, but could I actually say, would you do this? And expect a positive result.
Yeah.
Deepen your relationships on purpose.
And I think this is a good time to remind people of the elements of a good relationship, like the ones where you talk about reciprocity, mutuality, equity. You know them by heart. So I would ask you to share them, because it's not about just taking from relationship and
No.
having people like, there 24/7 to receive your phone call of panic or needs.
Yeah.
But share with us the elements that are involved when you create a relationship.
Yeah, well, you hit the three that are important for all relationships: equity, reciprocity, and mutuality. But if you want to deepen the relationship, and I write about that in Kaizen for couples, and forget the couples doesn't necessarily mean romantic, it means two people, right? And that's available at Amazon. But in there, I talk about what I call the 5 relational gifts. And that's what we want to give if we want to get them back. And that's honesty, safety, trust, respect, and reliability. Now, if you have honesty, safety, trust, respect, and reliability with another human, you can take a risk. It's not a big risk. But if you don't have those things to give, then you're not likely to get them back. And you don't have equality, reciprocity, and mutuality. So you have to have a think about this kind of thing, just like I had to have a think about who could I ask to take me to this appointment. You have to stop and have a think, where is the potential for greater depth and reciprocity and equality and mutuality? And do I want that with that person? And if I think it's available and I want it, then I need to do something in order to have it happen.
Right. And if you're in a relationship with somebody like you talk about, the relentlessly difficult type, you definitely need a community outside of that relationship
Oh,
to
you sure
support
do.
your sanity.
Yes, and you have to be very careful, Laura. I'm glad you brought that up just so we could put this piece in. You have to be very careful not to go to people who are related to that person. You need your own folks, because such a phenomenon called flying monkeys. And flying monkeys are the people that the hijackal, the relentlessly difficult people, have hooked into being loyal to them. So they will take a lot of information from you, tell the hijackal, and it'll come back and bite you. So you need to have your own folks. That's why I have a membership site. If you don't have your own folks around you, come and be part of the membership site at optimizecircles.com, because you need that. Yeah, Facebook groups are great. I've got a couple of those, but they're not as personal as completely off social media with an expert in there guiding the conversation and answering things. Because if you don't have people, hijackals love to isolate you. Extreme case. I was working with someone the other day who had systematically allowed herself, and she did, allowed herself to go from where the city they lived in with family to having a child to moving away to moving out in the country in a place way, way far from anybody. Then he took away her car,
Wow.
and there she is. She knows nobody. Right? So those situations, you must find people who can be your community, who can support you, listen to you, and give you accurate, good thoughts about what to do next. And that doesn't always come from somebody who's been through it. Remember that. They may still be angry. I don't deal in, okay, come on over to my membership group so you can rant and vent and ain't it awful and he done me wrong and she's a mess and all of that. Yeah, get it out of your system. But then what are we going to do about it? How are we going to move forward? So that's the kind of companion that you need, is the kind, wherever you find them, that are going to say, yes, I hear you. That's awful. And what's the next best step? Even if it's just a tiny step. But what is your next best step? And then you feel supported.
Yeah. And a lot of times the people in your community are great for support and love and nurturing, but they don't have the expertise to help you move
No.
you. So don't rely on them for that. So it will save your sanity to a degree. But if you want to heal and get saved, then I love what you offer, the optimized circles and the expertise, the one-on-one consulting that you do. It's profound. And so sometimes your community, you need to expand your community into the professional realm. So friends are important. Have it there because obviously you're not going to pay for a professional to be there hours and hours every day or week. But to help you, what I got out of what you were saying is, especially for the example you were giving, it's a long-term programming that someone goes through if they're with a hijackal. Uh, and it's going to take a long-term deprogramming to get more centered and sane and feel like you have confidence and the strength to be your own person, to step out and to have that, reality check of what's really
Mhm.
real. So you need both. You really do. And so,
Yeah, and that's why I created the membership. Because you do get both. You get a community of people who are walking through it at different stages, but you get me who can give you the expert advice when you ask a direct question, and that it's safely off social media. So if you have prying eyes from somebody, they can't make a fake profile and jump in.
right, right. Makes complete sense. So we have resources for you, optimizecircles.com. Is that it? Optimizecircles.com, forrelationshiphelp.com, I know is your FOR, relationshiphelp.com is your website, which leads you to all kinds of goodies and resources and podcasts and your YouTube lives on Monday on YouTube at For Relationship Help as well. I have the Feminine Power Cards that every Friday I do a live stream on we share it over to Feminine Power Cards, which is the Facebook page, Feminine Power Cards. You can get the cards and see more about them at femininepowercards.com. And we do some, if you need any hypnosis, I do that and consulting as well as marketing consulting. So then if you need a community to support you in your business, a lot of people don't know how to get the support and gather a tribe of people and save your sanity and save your business. I do that. So you can see I
Yes,
have a
and
social buzz club.
just to add to what you said, like, I hope everybody recognizes that when Laura and I are talking about what we do in the world, we're doing it from this place, not of enabling, but of supporting. We're doing it because we have unique skills that will allow you to feel supported, understood, and to move forward. And in my case, just as the same as listening to Laura's show on Fridays, you get a place to go and feel connected,
Yes.
right? It is community. Like, you can go, like the people that come to my YouTube live stream every Monday night at 6 Pacific time, they're beginning to build community. They're beginning to talk to each other in the chat, and they're hearing the same information. So then they know that I could connect with that person because they heard the same thing I heard, and see how that's going for them, right? So
Brilliant.
we're really talking about our businesses and our offerings as community.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Totally.
there for you, right? It's
Right.
not just, would you like to buy a widget? No.
No, we are not transaction oriented. We're very relationship oriented.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing relationship or an opportunity to be a part of your community. That's what we do actually at Social Buzz Club, which I never talk about, but it's always in the background here. But it's a
Yeah.
network of people who support each other by sharing content for each other. So
Yeah, collaboration. I mean,
totally.
that's a skill that we all can use shoring up, because we're competing is something that we're very familiar with. Compromising, maybe somewhat avoiding, yes, but collaborating, where we really have that equality, reciprocity, and mutuality, meaning I want the best for you, you want the best for me. It's not a tit for tat. Well, you didn't do it for me, so I'm not going to do it for you. You enter into a relationship of mutual support. That's what you want to be in, and that's collaborating is an art. That's what makes the difference in your primary spousal relationship, too. Many people don't feel like they're in a partnership. They feel like they're in a tit for tat kind of relationship where somebody's keeping score. And when I talk about reciprocity, I don't mean a tit for tat keeping score. I mean, I know that you could call on me to do for you and I would do for you, and you're quite open to hearing yes or no, but the avenue, the channel is open, right? You don't have to think, oh, I don't know if I should. No, you can. And yes, that's the appropriate first place to start if it makes sense. And these are deep concepts. They're not like, oh, well, yeah, that's beautiful in a world that works. I mean, these are things you have to embrace and say, I want some of that. And if I want some of that, I have to go out there and look and see what's available. And then how can I create that? How can I find the people that will be mutual and reciprocal and equal?
Great question.
How can I find the collaborating people? And that's a lot of sifting and sorting, and like you and I, we'll go to things and we'll just see who's there. They may be things that are based in an interest we share or in some kind of professional capacity that we share. And then see, just like you said, who do you resonate with? Who is it that, oh, I want to talk to that person more, and then see what happens. And then when you do say, well, what do you think about lunch? You're in good shape because the person will say yes.
You feel it out and you accept it. And if you can be as least judging of yourself through this process, I think you'll have a more enjoyable time. And just be curious about others, curious about your reaction to others. And if we take that judgment out of there, then you'll be guided. And if you trust the process, you'll find you'll create a community one way or another, and stay true to yourself and the principles you talked about so clearly, Roberta, is so helpful to guide oneself through how do I connect with people? Like if that's not a skill you have, if that's not an area of confidence or feeling worthy of, I always resort to that place of curious, like, instead of judging, like, that's interesting. I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling, less than in this group. Let me sit with this. And I love this question. I wonder who will be the next person I'll connect with. Not like, I hope I can connect with that person. Completely different, coming from what's right here and interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I want to just throw something in here that's the flip side of this. Don't be afraid to leave a community, right? We're talking about moving towards them, but know when that reason or season that you got together for has had its day, right?
Yeah.
These are not lifetime commitments in many cases. You may have some lifetime friends that you will meet, but going to different events or being in different groups doesn't mean that every one of them is a lifetime commitment. And
it doesn't. No.
No, it doesn't. And for that reason, I go to a networking group and they have an annual fee, unless it's something online and I know I'm going to use it frequently, I never buy in that way. I just do a drop in and take the temperature of what's going on in the group now. And if a group has this thing, I know one group that said, you can only come twice without being a member. Okay, I'll come once and I'll come once again in 6 months and then I'll make the decision, right? Because if I didn't feel the energy the first time, I'm not going to go back right away. I'm going to wait and see if the energy has changed.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to leave. Yeah. Don't be afraid. It's not a judgment for you to be able to say, I don't think this is the best place for me to use my time. That's discernment. It's not saying I don't like these guys. It's discerning to say, I don't think this is the best use of my time, energy, or money. I'm going to look for something else and love them and leave them.
And I love that is my favorite word in development, personal development of my own discernment,
Yeah.
because it's really deep. It's about knowing yourself and being aware of the other people and kind of playing with both energies of like, what am I sensing out here and who they are, not like as it relates to me, but who are they? And then making a decision. Is that who I want to be around? Is there something more to learn here? Am I in danger? I mean, there's all kinds of questions that come into mind, and playing with the questions for me is, with my coaching background, is like the gold. Is like more questions I can ask myself, or when I'm working with a client, the better, because the answer only can come with the right question. And so you have to keep asking until you get that question, that the golden questions that reveal things to you.
Yes, and you're also underlining the fact that we have to put time into our week where we sit quietly to ask those questions of ourselves, that we don't get into the busy, 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 busy all the time, and we never stop to reflect on where we've been and what's happening and how we feel.
Mhm. A time I'm finding really rich for myself is those transition moments. And sometimes they happen to be in my car, because I'll finish an event or something I was doing, and I'll just sit in my car for a minute to say, how was that? How am I right now? And take a moment. And sometimes it's 5 and sometimes it's 15. So it doesn't have to be anything super duper formal, but taking the time, I think, like you said, Roberta, is gold, because then it gives yourself space to process and to think, to make decisions from that discerning place, from a place that can enrich your life versus that running scared or scarcity place.
And to sit long enough so that the question is not a surfing question, it's a diving question. So you don't say, well, how was that? And you think, oh, that wasn't too bad. I think I might go next week. And you turn the car on. You do a little deep dive and you go, how was it? How did I feel? Who did I speak to that resonated with me? What happened with that energy? Would I would I see possibilities with 2 or 3 people there? Would that draw me to go again? How would I like to feel in a group like this? You go deeper and deeper and you dive into it. And that one event can inform you of so much.
Yeah. Of
But
what's
you
going
have,
on in other areas too, even.
yeah.
So,
But you have to accord yourself that time. So a car is a great thing. And also, sometimes I'll just get a cup of tea and sit down and say, I'm going to have a think for 10 minutes. I'm going to think about this one thing. I'm going to see where it takes me.
I'm going to start thinking about the one thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you for being my community, Roberta. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Um, we would love to inspire you and to build that community, to share what community is like for you and what support you do. And we love being here. Roberta, any good last words here today?
No, I just would echo what you said. It's wonderful to have you as part of my community. We've been friends for so long, and it extends to our friends of friends and our larger small community. And it has lots of people on the periphery too that may come in and go out and all. This is very important, and it didn't just happen to us. We did it quite consciously, and you can too.
And it took
So
time.
lots of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll leave you with one of the feminine power cards for those women watching here in particular. Of course, no, it's not coming up. Why is this? Oh, because I haven't done it yet. But the card says, and it's again from the deck, when women gather, the world changes. And that could be your world, your community, and the world at large. Because as we take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves and give our hearts what we need, we really are able to bring that into the world more fully and make it a more loving, harmonious world. And that is my vision. So thank you for taking on building community.
And Gloria Steinem echoes that because she has new bracelets that say the future is female.
Oh, the future is female. Great. It always is. Always is. All right, everyone. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with you. Bye for now.
Bye bye. Take care of yourself.